In the glow of a coastal evening, where friendships forged in youth promise unbreakable bonds, Mara Ellison gathers her closest circle for a night of laughter and shared secrets. Yet beneath the easy camaraderie lingers a subtle fracture, a whispered confidence that could shatter her world of trust. As the sea whispers its eternal rhythm outside, she raises her glass, unaware of the shadow cast by those she holds dear. The glossy printout on the table hinting at truths yet unspoken, and the loft's wide windows frame the coastal dusk, where the sea laps lazily against the shore below, a rhythmic hush that almost drowns the chatter inside. Mara stands at the heart of it all, her cheeks flushed from the wine, a half-empty glass cradled in her hand like a talisman. The air smells of salt and citrus, candles flickering on the reclaimed wood table, casting warm pools of light over the scattered remnants of takeout. Crumpled napkins, lime wedges, and the glossy printout of her milestone contract, the one that seals their shared creative project. Owen raises his glass first, his smile broad and effortless, the kind that pulls everyone in. To Mara, he toasts, voice booming with that magnetic warmth, the glue that keeps us dreaming big. Without you, this city's chaos would swallow us whole. The others echo him, Lena with a soft clink, her eyes crinkling in genuine delight. Noah, quieter, his nod subtle but steady, like he's measuring the room's pulse. Laughter ripples out, sharp and bright, bouncing off the exposed brick walls. Mara feels it settle in her chest, a soothing balm, the familiar weight of their circle wrapping around her, like the loft's worn throw blankets. But as the glasses lower, the laughter frays at the edges. Owen's gaze lingers a beat too long on Lena, who averts her eyes to the window, her fingers tightening around her stem. "It's perfect timing," Lena says, voice light but threaded with something else. Concern. "This project, it could change everything for us." Noah shifts on the couch, his quiet presence suddenly heavier, and Mara catches it, the way his brow furrows. Just a flicker, as if he's listening to the unspoken currents beneath their words. Outside, the sky darkens abruptly, clouds rolling in from the horizon like uninvited guests. A low rumble echoes, distant thunder vibrating through the glass, and the first fat drops patter against the panes, soft at first, then insistent, blurring the view of the shore. Mara glances out, her skin prickling with the sudden chill seeping through the frame. The calm in the room thickens, turns watchful. She senses the shift in their postures, the way Owen's laugh cuts shorter. Lena's smile holds a fraction too rigidly. No one mentions the storm brewing, or the undercurrent pulling at their easy harmony. The question hangs, electric and unanswered. Who will crack the facade first? A few days later, the late afternoon sun slants through the co-working space's floor-to-ceiling windows, bathing the open lounge in a golden haze that feels almost too perfect, like a filter over fraying edges. Mara leans against the kitchenette counter, nursing a cooling mug of chamomile, the steam curling lazily as laughter from the main room fades into comfortable hums. Owen's voice carries from the cluster of desks nearby, his easy charisma pulling everyone in as always. She's grateful for this pocket of normalcy after the morning's project buzz. Her circle intact, the world outside the boutique space a distant roar. She sets the mug down, intending to join them, when a low murmur snags her ear from the hallway alcove. The door to the supply room stands slightly ajar, a sliver of shadow spilling out like an unspoken invitation. Owen's there, phone pressed to his ear, his back to the gap. The warmth in Mara's chest, That reliable glow of shared history holds for a beat as she pauses, not wanting to intrude. "Yeah, it's gold," Owen says, voice pitched low, but edged with something sharper, urgent. Her entry on the vulnerability angle nails the pitch. "I slipped it in last night, framed it as group insight, but it's hers. Keeps us ahead without the mess." A pause. Then the other voice crackles faintly. "Risky if she finds out. Loyalty's thin these days." Owen chuckles, but it's tight, not his usual rumble. "She won't. Trusts me blind. By the time it lands, we're golden. Just need that collab locked." Mara's breath catches, a subtle hitch that roots her in place. The words fragment like shattered glass. Journal entry. Slipped in. Trusts me blind. Her pulse quickens, warmth leaching into a chill that prickles her skin. Intuition flares, unbidden, a warning whisper coiling in her gut, twisting the familiar affection into something brittle. Owen, her anchor, scheming, behind the polished smiles, in the hush of this sunlit facade. She steps back silently, heart thudding against her ribs. The ajar door now a mocking threshold between illusion and fracture. The lounge laughter swells again, oblivious, but the air feels thicker, charged with unseen currents. What game is unfolding in the shadows of their circle? The one she thought unbreakable. She swallows the urge to burst in, accusations burning on her tongue, and slips away instead, the seed of doubt rooting deeper, silent for now. That evening, back in the loft, the late afternoon light filters through the loft's tall windows, casting elongated shadows across the polished hardwood. Mara lounges on the worn leather couch, her legs tucked beneath her, flipping through a stack of sketches for their upcoming project. The air hums with the remnants of their earlier chatter, Owen's booming laugh from the kitchen, Noah's quiet nods as he sketches in the corner. But now, it's just her and Lena, the mediator, perched on the armrest, her dark hair falling like a curtain over one shoulder. Lena's fingers trace the rim of her coffee mug, hesitant, eyes flicking to Mara's face. "You know, Mara," she starts, voice soft as sea foam. "Sometimes, things we write down, they stick with us in ways we don't expect." She pauses, glancing toward the hallway where the mirror hangs, its silver frame catching a sliver of the dying sun. Mara follows her gaze, a faint prickle at the base of her neck. The mirror reflects the empty corridor, a silent witness to their shared mornings, the quick adjustments before stepping out into the world. Mara shifts, submission weaving through her like habit. Keep the peace. Let the words slide past. "What do you mean?" she asks, forcing a smile, though her pulse quickens under the skin. Lena leans in, not touching, but close enough that Mara smells the faint lavender of her lotion. "Your journal, the one you keep by the bed. I saw it open the other day when I was grabbing that book from your shelf. Just maybe take a look, see if everything's as you left it." The words land like a pebble in still water, ripples spreading. Mara's intuition stirs, a low hum demanding she probe deeper, but the cozy weight of their circle presses back. "Don't shatter this. Don't question the anchors." Anxiety coils in her chest, breath shallow, as she imagines the leather-bound pages, her raw confessions spilled there like blood on paper. Why now? Why this gentle nudge that feels like a shove? Lena's eyes hold steady, a mirror of concern without accusation, reflecting Mara's own wide gaze back at her. In the hallway mirror, Mara catches her reflection, lips parted, brows furrowed in unspoken doubt. The group narrative tugs, loyalty above all, but the seed burrows, insistent. She nods vaguely, fingers tightening on the sketches. the warmth of the room suddenly thin, laced with storm clouds, gathering unseen. The next morning, at the co-working space, Mara's fingers tremble as she scrolls through the digital pitch deck on her laptop screen. The co-working space's fluorescent hum, a distant drone against the crash of waves outside the fogged window. The boutique loft smells of salt and stale coffee. Her corner desk cluttered with sketches for the group's dream project, a collaborative art installation meant to bind them tighter. She clicks into the final slide, and there it is. Her words, raw and unfiltered, lifted verbatim from the journal she keeps locked in her drawer. I fear we'll scatter like tide-pulled shells if we don't hold the line. The text reads, her private confession about the project's fragility, now polished into a narrative hook for investors. Her breath catches, a sharp inhale that echoes in her chest. Shock blooms cold in her veins, rooting her to the chair as she yanks open the drawer. The leather-bound journal tumbles out, pages splayed like wounded wings. She flips to the entry, July 12th, her looping script unchanged, intimate as a heartbeat. This isn't coincidence. It's excision, her vulnerability carved out and repurposed. Heart-pounding, she stands, the chair scraping against the hardwood floor. Lena looks up from her sketch pad across the room, brow furrowing at Mara's ashen face. Noah, nursing a tea at the communal table, sets his mug down slowly, his outsider's gaze sharpening. Mara, Lena ventures, rising. Mara thrusts the laptop forward, the screen glowing accusatory in the muted light. Look at this. Slide 12. It's mine. Her voice cracks, but she pushes through, tracing the words with a finger that refuses to steady. The journal flops open beside it. A twin betrayal in ink and pixels. Owen's name flickers in her mind. His pitch, his charm, sealing the deal last week. But she bites back the blame. The forbidden edge of it, too raw, too soon. Owen emerges from the kitchenette, steam curling from his mug, his easy smile faltering at the tableau. What's going on? He asks, leaning in, but his eyes dart to the screen, a micro-flinch betraying the polish. This was supposed to be ours, Mara says, her tone steadying as shock ebbs into something firmer, a resolve coiling in her gut. She meets his gaze, the mirror on the wall behind him fracturing her reflection into shards. But why use my words like this? Without asking? What drove you to pull this from somewhere so private? The question hangs, probing without piercing, the air thickening with unspoken currents. Lena gasps, hand to mouth, while Noah nods subtly, his quiet presence a anchor. Owen shifts, words tumbling half-formed. But Mara holds the line, journal clutched like a shield. Panic whispers at the edges. Will this unravel everything? Yet her stance roots deeper, demanding the truth she once overlooked. The coastal storm gathers outside, gray clouds pressing against the glass, mirroring the turbulence within. Later that afternoon, as the storm builds, the salt-laced breeze slips through the cracked window of the co-working space, carrying the faint rumble of an approaching storm. Mara sits hunched at a corner table, her fingers tracing the rim of a forgotten mug. The tea inside has gone cold, its once herbal warmth now sharp and bitter on her tongue when she forces a sip, acrid, like unspoken words curdling in her throat. Noah slides into the seat across from her, his eyes steady, the quiet newcomer who's always watched from the edges. He doesn't waste breath on pleasantries. I've seen it, Mara. Owen's moves, not just now, weeks ago, when he started angling for that collaboration pitch. The way he lingered over your notes during our last session, like he was memorizing them for leverage. Her pulse quickens, a knot twisting in her chest. Anxiety blooms, hot and suffocating, as fragments of overheard whispers replay in her mind. She glances at the door, half expecting Owen's easy grin to barge in, diffusing the tension with a joke. "You're imagining things," she murmurs, but her voice wavers, the words tasting as stale as the tea. Internal storm clouds gather. If she lets this fester, silence will swallow her whole. Noah leans forward, his voice low, insistent, like a tide pulling her under. "No, I watched him slip that entry from your journal into his proposal draft. Subtle, but there. He thought no one noticed." He pauses, searching her face, the micro twitch of her jaw. But keeping quiet, that's the real poison. It seeps in, Mara, turns resentment into something that eats you from the inside. You feel it already, don't you? The way it sharpens everything, makes trust feel like a blade. She sets the mug down, harder than intended, the cold liquid sloshing, its bitterness mirroring the ache in her gut. Images flash: Owen's betrayal, Lena's averted eyes, the group's fragile harmony cracking like sea glass underfoot. Her hands tremble, the fear of confrontation claws at her, whispering that truth might shatter everything she's clung to. But Noah's gaze holds her, unyielding observer to her unraveling. "Demand it from him," he says. "An explanation, not accusations. Just the facts you deserve. Otherwise, this silence, it'll kill what's left of you." The words land like rain on parched earth. Anxiety fractures, giving way to a quiet resolve, stealing her spine. She exhales, the storm outside mirroring the one within, turbulent but clarifying. Can she crave the raw edge of truth more than the numb comfort of pretending? The question lingers, unanswered, as she nods once, decisive. "Okay, I'll do it." That evening, as the storm fully arrives, Mara's loft hums with the low rumble of distant thunder, the coastal storm pressing against the floor-to-ceiling windows like an uninvited witness. She stands rigid by the kitchen island, her fingers clenched around a steaming mug that does nothing to warm the chill in her chest. The journal lies open on the counter between them, its pages splayed like a fresh wound, the leaked entry staring up accusingly, words she'd poured out in raw vulnerability now twisted into ammunition. Owen paces the worn hardwood, his usual charisma frayed at the edges, hands gesturing wildly, as if he can wave away the storm inside her. "Mara, listen, it wasn't like that. I shared it for us, for the group. That pitch, it was sinking without a hook, and your words, they made it real, human. The collaboration's locked in now. We're all better off." She sets the mug down with a deliberate clink, the sound slicing through his words. Disappointment coils in her gut, heavy and sour, as she meets his eyes, those eyes that once anchored her world. "Better off? You read my private thoughts, Owen. My fears, my doubts about this project, about us, and you fed them to strangers for a deal?" Her voice trembles at first, a crack in the facade, but she straightens, stepping closer. The journal's leather cover catches the dim light, a silent testament to the boundary he crossed. He stops pacing, rubs his jaw, the half-truths tumbling out faster. It was a calculated risk. Lena knew the stakes. Noah even nodded along when I floated the idea. We needed this win. You're making it sound like betrayal, but it's loyalty, to the circle, to what we've built. The mention of the others ignites something sharper. Mara snatches the journal, flipping it shut with a snap that echoes off the exposed brick walls. "Lena, Noah, don't drag them into your excuses." She thrusts it toward him, not touching, but close enough to force his gaze. Rain lashes the glass behind him, blurring the city lights into smears of muted gray. Her heart pounds, disappointment morphing into a steely resolve. She won't let his narrative swallow hers again. This isn't about the group. It's about you using me, my trust. I need the truth, Owen, not your spin. And from now on, my boundaries aren't negotiable. You don't get to decide what's for our good anymore. He falters, mouth opening and closing, the charisma crumbling under her stare. The distance yawns between them, wider than the loft's expanse, a fracture that Lena and Noah's silence can't mend. Mara holds the journal to her chest, its weight a reminder. She can't reject his justifications without claiming her own power. But as thunder cracks overhead, the question lingers unspoken. Will she? Later that night, after Owen leaves, Mara's loft hums, with the low buzz of evening rain against the windows, the coastal storm outside mirroring the churn inside her chest. She perches on the edge of her unmade bed, the mirror across the room catching fragments of her disheveled reflection. Eyes red-rimmed, hair tangled like unspoken accusations. The laptop screen glows faintly on the tripod, its unblinking lens a cold eye, waiting to capture what her throat refuses to release. Her fingers hover over the record button, trembling. Speaking the pain aloud feels like shattering glass in her mouth, words too jagged to form without drawing blood. But silence? It's poisoned her long enough, a slow bleed of resentment she can no longer ignore. She presses record, the red light flares, and vulnerability crashes over her like a wave. "Owen," she whispers, voice cracking as tears spill hot down her cheeks. Her hands twist in her lap, knuckles white. "You took my words, my raw, stupid heart spilled in that journal, and you twisted them into your ladder. For what? A deal. Our group good." The fury rises, a heat flushing her face, but it's laced with ache, the kind that hollows her out. She leans closer to the camera, micro-expressions flickering, lips parting in a gasp, brows furrowing as memories flood. Owen's easy laugh at the celebration, the cryptic whispers she'd dismissed. Her breath hitches. "I trusted you. We all did. And now, it feels like I've been carrying this alone, pretending the cracks weren't there." The symbol of the lens stares back, impartial, forcing her to see herself. Not the loyal friend patching over tensions, but the woman unraveling. She wipes her eyes, the motion deliberate, a shift from fracture to steel. Resolve hardens her jaw. But I'm done hiding it. This betrayal, it rips me open, makes me question every smile, every shared secret. I feel small, exposed, like the naive fool I swore I wasn't. Her voice steadies, words gaining edges. Yet here I am, saying it. Forgiveness isn't free, Owen. Not anymore. If we're to salvage anything, this circle, this trust, you own it. All of it. No half-truths. No, it was for us. Truth, or we're done. She pauses, the rain intensifying, drumming like a heartbeat. The camera captures the raw pivot, vulnerability yielding to a fierce clarity, her posture straightening as she outlines the boundaries. Honesty in every pitch, no more unspoken trades, space if needed to heal. The words pour now, ordered, a bridge from chaos to something unyielding. But as she reaches to stop recording, doubt lingers in her eyes. Will this confession bind them or break her further? The red light blinks off, leaving the question suspended in the shadowed room. The following day, as the storm lingers, Mara sinks into the worn armchair in her loft, the coastal fog pressing against the floor-to-ceiling windows like a held breath. Rain taps insistently, a rhythm that echoes the ache in her chest. She pulls out the journal, its leather cover soft from years of secrets and flips through pages stained with old ink and fresh tears. Laughter from that milestone party stares back. Owen's arm slung over her shoulder. Lena's knowing smile. Noah's quiet nod. The words blur, sadness coiling tight, a weight that pins her here, alone. She stands, drawn to the mirror across the room, its silver frame etched with faint cracks, like veins under skin. Her reflection fragments in the dim light, eyes hollow, jaw set against the storm inside. What if the truth scatters us all? The thought slices through, sharp as the leaked entry that exposed her rawest fears to the world. Owen's betrayal wasn't just words on a page. It was the group's unspoken pact. Shattered, the mirror holds her now, not broken, but clarifying. Can isolation birth a plan strong enough to reweave the threads without unraveling entirely? The rain softens. She exhales, the weight lifting just enough to step forward. The next morning, at the arranged meeting in the loft hums with uneasy silence, rain pattering against the floor-to-ceiling windows like hesitant fingers on glass. Mara stands at the center of the mismatched circle, Owen slouched on the worn leather couch, Lena perched on a stool with her notebook clutched like a shield, Noah leaning against the exposed brick wall, arms crossed. The coastal storm outside mirrors the churn inside. Gray skies pressing down, waves crashing audible even here, in this sanctuary turned tribunal. Mara's hand trembles slightly as she pulls the journal from her bag, its leather cover scarred from too many desperate grips. She sets it on the coffee table, pages splayed open to the entry that started it all, her raw confessions. Now a ghost in every room. Doubt flickers in her chest, a cold wave threatening to pull her under. What if they walk away? What if this shatters everything for good? But she straightens, breath steadying, resolve hardening like salt on skin after the tide recedes. I've spent nights replaying it, she says, voice low but unyielding, eyes locking on each face. The leak, the lies, the way trust twisted into something toxic. This journal, it was mine, private, sacred. Owen, you took that and spun it for your gain, dragging us all into the undertow. Owen shifts, jaw tightening, but she presses on, the words gaining momentum. No more. If we're to salvage this circle, it starts with truth. Raw, uncomfortable honesty. No half-confessions, no silences that fester. Speak now. What you knew, what you hid, or walk. Lena, you sensed the cracks early. Did you warn me out of fear? Noah, your outsider eyes saw through it. Why hold back until it broke? The air thickens, external tension coiling, like the storm's wind rattling the panes. Owen leans forward, eyes flashing defiance. It was for the group, Mara. That pitch needed edge. Your words gave it life. I didn't mean to hurt. Stop, she cuts in, sharper now. Resolve, eclipsing the doubt that once blurred her edges. Excuses bury us deeper. Own it, or leave. Lena nods slowly, her voice a quiet anchor. I knew fragments, Mara. Feared rocking the boat. But you're right. Silence was complicity. Noah uncrosses his arms, stepping closer. I pushed because I saw you dimming. This group's worth fighting for, but not at your expense. Consequences ripple out. Owen's gaze drops to the journal, fingers twitching as if to reclaim what he can't. The circle fractures visibly. Loyalties tested, bonds straining under the weight of choice. Mara watches, heart pounding. The question, unspoken but electric. Will they cross this line, embrace boundaries that bind without breaking, or will the storm scatter them for good? A week later, as the weather clears, Mara stands at the edge of the pier bridge, the coastal wind whipping her hair like unanswered questions. Below, waves crash against the pilings, a relentless rhythm that mirrors the churn in her gut. Lena waits a few steps back, hands tucked into her jacket, her eyes steady but shadowed, the moral compass that never quite pointed away. "I've thought about it," Mara says, her voice cutting through the salt air, unsteady at first, like the bridge swaying under a sudden gust. She grips the railing, knuckles whitening. The project Lena proposed, a fresh creative venture, untainted by the old leaks and half-truths, dangles before her, tempting and terrifying. Agree, and she rebuilds. Refuse, and the isolation deepens. But the old way? No. That silent loyalty, the one that let Owen twist her words into weapons, can't resurrect here. Lena steps closer, her breath visible in the chill. "No pressure, Mara, but this could be ours. Clean slate." Mara turns, meeting Lena's gaze. The bridge stretches behind them, linking the sun-faded city to the open sea. A span of weathered steel, holding firm against the tides. It feels like her now, tested, unyielding. "I want in," she says, the words tumbling out sharper than intended. "But on my terms. Clear roles, no blurring lines. You handle outreach, I lead the vision. And honesty? That's non-negotiable. If something festers, we say it. No more burying for the sake of the group." Lena nods, a small smile cracking her reserve. But Mara feels the tremor inside, the fear that trust might snap like a frayed cable. Owen's exclusion hangs unspoken between them, his betrayal a ghost on the horizon. Is she ready for this new circle? Boundaries etched like guardrails? The question lingers as Mara straightens, the instability ebbing into a quiet resolve. The bridge holds, so will she.